What's up, guys? For those of you that have been following along for the last little while, you would know that we've been planning the Matterhorn Fit All Path series over the last probably 2 years now. And we had the first event in Windsor last weekend, which was awesome. It was such a success, from the welcome reception, the roundtable discussions, the showcase games. We had 10 teams with 180 players from across North America and abroad that were all pretty high level. So it was great for the players and families. It was great for the coaches. It was great for all of us. We got some awesome footage of that that we're going to share with you guys this week. This first one is actually going to be about the welcome reception. So on Friday night, when everyone arrived for the event, we had all of the intro dialogue with Ryan going up on the stage. We had all the coaches from the OHL teams up there giving some feedback and information about their programs and their processes. So there's a lot of value here for you guys, and I wanted to make sure that we got it out for you guys to kind of see what it's all about. And if you get an opportunity to get to one of these events in the future, it's a no-brainer. So this week we're going to do the OHL roundtables as part of the welcome reception, and then in the next week, maybe in a few weeks, we'll do the NCAA Division I programs and their roundtable discussions. They had a lot of great feedback, a lot of great information, answered a bunch of questions. And you guys will start to see that over the next few weeks. So we'll get into that here. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Matterhorn Fit All Path Ontario Showcase powered by BioSteel. My name is Eric Palazzolo with BioSteel Sports. I'd like to thank all you guys, players, families, coaches, and staff for being with us this weekend. When I first had the opportunity to connect with Ryan Vesce and the Matterhorn team at the All Ivy Showcase in Florida, the quality of the event absolutely blew me away, and that's part of the reason why you guys are here today. I can assure everybody here that this weekend will be much the same, very unique experience for all of you, and everyone's going to have a great time here. We've assembled a fantastic group of OHL and NCAA coaches and programs to help educate the players and families on different pathways available in today's ever-changing hockey landscape, while also providing a highly competitive 5-game showcase schedule. I'd encourage everyone here to take a look around the tables tonight, look at your programs, and notice all the different places that all these players are coming from, and understanding the depth of the network and opportunities that can exist throughout a player's hockey journey, and that's what this weekend is all about. So to kick things off, I'd like to welcome to the stage founder and CEO of Matterhorn Fit, Ryan Vesce.
Let's give it up for Eric, Dan Crosby, CEO of BioSteel, and the entire BioSteel team. And before we start, we got to give it up to our event director, Kate Vesce, who's not here but planned this whole event for the last 8 months from Florida, and our entire Matterhorn Fit team that is here with us to execute it. Thank you guys so much. So we are super excited to bring these events to the North, and I'm happy to be in Canada because, quite frankly, the people are nicer. I think I grew up in Long Island, New York, where there's a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an attitude. That's all you know as you grow up, and to always come back to Canada is pretty refreshing, unlike when I go back to New York sometimes. And the last time I was in New York, I was playing for the Sharks, and we were playing against the Rangers at MSG. I got called up, and I had about 80 friends and families there. All my friends worked in the city. My family and everyone I knew in Long Island came to kind of support me. And so they were all waiting after the game, and we're talking with them, getting ready to go out to dinner, and because of where they were standing, we ended up going out the Rangers side of the rink. And so I'm in an elevator with like my entourage of all these people with the signage and everything like this, and it's like Delzato and Sean Avery, and they're going out. And as we go out the elevator, there's like a row of metal steel partitions with the Ranger fans lined up. So I'm like, oh man, I'm clearly, on the wrong side of this. So I'm walking through, and the guys are signing autographs, and this New Yorker is like, let me get an autograph. And I'm like, no, like, you don't want my autograph. I just got called up. I'm not even on the Rangers. Like, you definitely don't want my autograph. So I keep walking, And they had a sign that said, number 53 is a New Yorker. And he's like, oh, you're a New Yorker. Oh, you scored tonight. Let me get your autograph. So now I'm like, I feel like I have to go back because it's just like rude if I don't. And I just didn't know what to do. So I end up walking back to him. It's about 40 feet now. My whole entourage is like standing in front of me. So I walk all the way back. And he goes to hand me the pen with the paper. And right when I go to grab it, he goes, get the F out of here. And they start their Let's Go Rangers chant right in my face. And so, like, the whole crowd now is going, let's go Rangers. Like, my buddies are dying. They're like, this is the best. Like, this is the funniest thing ever. Like, I'm walking back. I'm laughing because I think it's hysterical and growing up in this atmosphere. So let me tell you, I just appreciate being up here with a little more civility. And, so for those who don't know me, my name is Ryan Vesce. I graduated Cornell University in 2004. I went on to play 14 years of professional hockey. And now I'm the CEO at Advanced Rehabilitation and Performance brand called Matterhorn Fit. And when I was on the verge of retirement after major back surgery and hip surgery, I really wasn't ready to retire. So I found my partner, Sean Sullivan, who is a strength coach for professional athletes. And together, we spent the next 5 years compiling all the techniques we had learned in pro sports into a systematic process and applied it to my own rehab. And through that experience, we developed a new process that fully integrates rehabilitation and high performance from a neurological level. And that process is now known as the Matterhorn method. Not only allowed me to extend my career and play an additional 5 years pain-free, but has been transformational for thousands and thousands of active people across all ages. And so that's what Matterhorn Fit is at our core. We're rehab and training centers. We decided to put these events on because in our early days, we were attracting a lot of hockey players, just as a function of my background and my partner's background. And there was a huge disconnect between those players trying to go D1, but also trying to go to a good school. And too many players were going through their journey without understanding what was truly at stake. So in 2020, we decided to launch our first event, and it was called the Matterhorn Fit All IV Showcase, and it was designed to educate players and families to use hockey as a vehicle to unlock opportunities for themselves. And we saw a huge gap in the market when we started researching what was going on out there. Too many events provided very little value, no exposure, and zero perspective on how to leverage hockey to enhance their lives for the long term. We decided there had to be a better way, and we were militantly focused on providing real value to everyone and anyone who came to our events. And so the next wave of events was born. High value, high touch, super events, centered around information, exposure, and personal development. And so we're here to help you realize that hockey isn't the end goal, it's the vehicle. A vehicle that can take you to a great education, a vehicle that can enhance your network and opportunities, and a vehicle, if you drive it the right way, can take you farther than you've ever imagined. That's why we created Matterhorn Fit events, to zoom out and provide you with the perspective that you're not playing for a 4-year scholarship, you're playing for a 40-year scholarship. And as our events grew, so did our relationships with the NCAA coaches. And as the rules shifted to allow CHL players now to be able to continue their development as student athletes, we saw another gap. First, there was like a real lack of information about the NCAA and CHL programs for players and families who never considered that route. Secondly, there weren't any events that provided the athletes this type of exposure where both parties are present, working together to recruit. And three, there was a lack of relationships and communication between the coaches of these CHL and NCAA. And so we have the fundamental belief that teams and coaches who build relationships and collaborate together will always be a step ahead. And with this in mind, the Matterhorn Fit All Paths series was born, with 3 events spanning across Ontario, Quebec, and Western Canada, with the CHL and NCAA coaches working together. And this is the first event of the series, and I have to say, we're off to a pretty good start. To help you guys with your incredible journey, we have an unbelievable coaching staff here today. From Cornell, we have Cam Clark. From Saginaw, we have Kyle McCarrick. From UNH, we have Jeff Giuliano. From Owen Sound, we have Reagan O'Grady. From Bowling Green, we have Matt Nicholson. From Flint, we have Justin Souls. From Penn State, we have Andrew Sturts. From Sarnia, we have Brandon Guy. From Bentley, we have Gudge Gensler. From Guelph, we have Scott Simmons. From Miami of Ohio, we have Leo Moran. We have 15-year OHL scout Sean Murphy. And from the Colorado Avalanche, Director of Player Development, Brian Wilsey. Let's give it up for these coaches. Thank you, coaches, for trusting us to do things the right way and for your collaboration in providing this group with the information necessary for them to navigate their own path. But I think the real champions for helping you guys navigate your path is your parents. You know, for years, they have sacrificed a ton of travel, a ton of money, a ton of time away from their other children so that you can pursue your dreams. They have given you the greatest gift that you'll ever receive, and that's opportunity. The mere fact that you are sitting in this room today is a testament to the way you were raised and how much your families care about not only helping you become a great hockey player, but helping you become a successful human being. Let's give it up for the parents. Now, I want to just share some quick perspective from being in your shoes, playing junior hockey, going on to play college, and then pro after. There's one thing that stands out to me that when I look back at my career and when I look back at other guys, development is the only thing that matters. It's not about who made what team. It's not about who got drafted in what round. It's not about who got this offer. The real battle is with the person staring back at you in the mirror every single night. Did you put in the work today to get better, or did you take shortcuts? Did you handle adversity with positive energy and optimism, or did you make excuses? Did you operate with honesty and integrity, or did you fall to a lesser standard for yourself? Because that, not the rankings, not the offers, not the politics, that is what determines where you'll go and the success you'll have. Each event we've had, and we've run a lot of these, we average about 30 NCAA commits out of them per year. There are going to be players in this room playing for these coaches. And so with a lot of players here, with a lot of players across North America that aren't here, with a lot of players in Europe all vying for the same jobs, whether that be in the CHL or in the NCAA, the first 5 minutes of game one, what are you going to do to jump off the page? What are you guys going to do in your first few shifts that makes these coaches say, I have to watch another shift of this guy and I have to zero in on him because I saw something there that I really want to explore? Do not go through this weekend and blend in. From this moment on, this is a business trip. So we need to treat it as such. And for the parents, let it rip. Blackjack, mama needs a new pair of shoes. Do what you got to do, okay? This is for you too. We are so excited to kick off this weekend. We want to thank you all for being here, and welcome to Matterhorn.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Just got to adjust the mic here. At this time, I'd like to recognize and welcome our participating OHL coaches for the weekend and invite them up on stage. So we'll go one at a time here. So first from the Sarnia Sting, Braden Guy. From the Guelph Storm, Scott Simmons. From the Owen Sound Attack, Reagan O'Grady. From the Flint Firebirds, Justin Soltz. From the Saginaw Spirit, Kyle McCarrick. And from the Niagara Ice Dogs, Sean Murphy. And Ryan, come on back on stage, and he'll lead the roundtable discussion with the OHL coaches.
So I think maybe we'll just go down the line. We'll start, introduce yourself and how you got into coaching, and you can talk a little bit about, the program and maybe what you're looking for out of this weekend.
I'm first. My name is Sean Murphy. My journey started by playing in the OHL for the London Knights and the St. Mike's Majors when they were expansion team. So I made the OHL. And then soon after, I was a coach with the Oshawa Generals in the OHL. I'm pretty fortunate enough to coach John Tavares. And from there, I got into scouting with the Kitchener Rangers, and I was also the director of player development for over 10 years. And recently, I scouted this year U16 for the Niagara Ice Dogs.
My name's Scott Simmons, assistant coach with the Guelph Storm. I started my career in the OHL with the Belleville Bulls, which is no longer, now in Brantford. From there, went on to play university hockey in Canada, University of Guelph. Played 5 years there, did my schooling, and then decided to continue to play some pro overseas. Went to England, had a blast, got to play hockey further, and also get to travel the world a little bit doing so. So had a great time doing that. Got into coaching 3 years ago. Actually went back to the University of Guelph. There was a position there. It was a pretty natural transition back, and I'm glad I did so, and now made the jump to the OHL. So it's good.
I'm Regan O'Grady. I, like Scott here, started in the OHL, was drafted by the Kingston Frontenacs, finished my last year playing for the Saginaw Spirit. After my last year, ended up having a health condition, had to retire from the game of hockey. Once sat in your guys' shoes, hockey was all I know. Didn't really want to be like mom and dad working a desk job 9 to 5. I think it's the greatest sport to be involved in. Wanted to give back to you guys, younger generation, and got into coaching right away. Had a stop with some skill development with the Winnipeg Jets, with the youth out there, Jets hockey development, and then ended up coming back. I've been in Owen Sound for the last 2 years.
I'm Kyle Mackrick. I'm from Windsor, Ontario here. Started coaching right after my playing career, so played junior B locally for the Chatham Maroons, and then played U Sport for the University of Windsor. After that, got into coaching right away, major midget, did junior B, coached U Sport with the University of Windsor, and I went to Ottawa for a couple years to coach in the CCHL, and now in the OHL with the Saginaw Spirit.
Hi, I'm Justin Soltz. I'm as well from Windsor, Ontario. I've been coaching for about 25 years. Started A hockey, coached AAA a little bit in Sun County. Then I went to coach at the University of Windsor. I actually coached Kyle and Eric over there at the University of Windsor. From there, my kids were young, and I kind of got out of coaching and went to the management side. So I was the GM for Leamington Flyers in Junior B and in Junior A. And then last summer, decided to go back to coaching, and now I'm with the Flint Firebirds.
Last but not least, I guess, eh? My name's Braden Guy. I'm assistant coach with the Sarnia Sting. It's actually only my second year coaching, so still relatively new. Learning a ton. I think this is a great opportunity for you guys, but also a great opportunity for us as coaches to learn, and I'm really looking forward to that. I played 4 years of my OHL career in Sarnia, so very fortunate to not only start my coaching career in the OHL, which a lot of guys don't get the opportunity to do, but to be able to return to a place that I grew up in, I think is pretty special and means a lot to me. So I'm pretty fortunate for that opportunity. Got traded to Guelph my last year, in my overage year. Finished out my junior career there, and then played 3 years pro last summer. Decided that I think I just felt like my career was no longer on the climb and started to plateau, and had to consider some other options, and coaching to me just seemed like the best fit. So I'm really excited to continue working on that, but excited to meet all you guys here this week, and looking forward to the event.
So Braden, we'll start with you from that end. Can you talk about the standards you guys hold guys accountable to and your development model for your players, and then where you see the team headed in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, so I'll start with the standard side of things. we hold our players in our organization to a very high standard. That's on the ice, that's off the ice, and that's everybody within the entire organization, not just our players. So I think the important part for us and the way that we kind of go about it in our organization is that everybody is held to the same standard. And we've found that the best way to kind of deliver that standard is, to just be really strict about it. There's no wavering. Everyone is held to that same standard. And I think what it does is the off-ice stuff, it's whether you guys, you treat people with respect, your billet families, how you treat your teachers, how you are in school, all those things away from the rink that you don't really think about, that stuff is super important. And so we start instilling, those standards with our players away from the rink, and then we find that when they come to the rink, it's already a part of their habit and part of their routine, and we find that translates directly right onto the ice. In terms of the player development model, I think we as an organization kind of build it around giving players opportunity right away. Early on, we think that's important. Instilling confidence in our players right away is very important as well. That goes for any league, not just the Ontario Hockey League, but the NCAA as well, and any junior leagues you guys might play in on your way up to the NHL hopefully one day. So we try and approach it like that, and the way that we support that is with a clear and individual plan for each of our players, development plan. And so basically how it works is at the beginning of every year, whether you're drafted to us, whether you are a free agent signing or we trade for you halfway through the year, we will sit down with you. And I think what that does is let the players know where they stand in our organization right from the get-go. And then again, there's no wavering. It goes back to the standards. There's expectations. There's punishments if you don't meet those standards, and kind of just eliminates all the gray area in that regard. Doesn't leave anybody asking any questions and makes it all black and white. So we've got an on-ice development side of things where we like to allot time space when we structure our practices for players to work on their own skills, things that they feel that they need to get better at or struggle with. And then there's other times where maybe as a coaching staff we see or notice a player that potentially isn't living up to their expectations, or they're not feeling good about a part of their game, where we pull them aside and grab 6 guys, myself or another assistant coach, and say, hey, we think you guys need to work on this. So that might be at the end of practice, that might be at the beginning of practice, it might be 10 minutes in the middle of practice, just to kind of break it up. So there's a whole bunch of different things on ice from that side of things. And then the off-ice stuff too, we do a ton of video. Actually, one of our players is sitting here today, so I'm looking at him while I talk about this because he knows it better than anybody. But we do individual video with players once a week. They're usually just 5 to 10 clips, short video clips, but we just want to make sure we get those touch points with them throughout the year. And then when we send those guys off in the summer, we do, right now we're in the process of doing it right now, but we do check-ins every 2 weeks. So we kind of split the team right in half. Our other assistant coach takes the one half, I take the other. And we just do phone calls. We call the guys once every 2 or 3 weeks and just check in and make sure they don't need anything from us once they're gone and in their own regimen at home. And just I think it's nice as a player to feel, and I honestly wish I had that when I played, just that the coaches care about you just that much more, and you get a little bit disconnected when you go away at the end of the season. So I think that's a great way to kind of reel them back in. So getting a little long-winded, sorry. The last question was... Oh, sorry, our team, where we're headed in the next couple of years. I think that question gets tougher and tougher as the years go on, just with the whole landscape of the league now and kind of how it's changing. But we're excited about it. I think we have a strong core of players that we've kind of built around the last year and a half, and a lot of older returning guys that we think can really steer the ship for us going forward. That being said, we don't know if they're going to be around as long as we anticipated originally, but just trying to navigate that whole situation. And obviously our organization, I think everybody sitting up here can probably agree with me, we want to compete every year. We want to give ourselves a chance to win every year. So that's the expectation, that's where the bar is set, and I think everything else kind of falls into place after that.
Justin, let's just talk about the opportunity at Flint for development and how you guys structure practice, off ice, academics, kind of how that all works.
Yeah, I mean, from the development standpoint, a lot of it would be redundant with what Brandon said, right? But we do have a full-time player development coach that we just hired last year. So that's important, and we do a lot of individual stuff, right? A lot of individual coaching, a lot of individual video, and he mentioned it too. But like, it's all about putting the position putting the player in a position to succeed, right? So I think we do a pretty good job of that. The one thing I think Flint's done a good job, and again, I've only been there 1 year, but again, everyone's first you're focused on your midget draft, right? Then you're focused on your NHL draft, and there's a number of guys in Flint that weren't drafted in the first time through their NHL draft that have been drafted and have signed pro contracts. And even this year on our team, we have 206 players that have, one's missed 2 drafts, one's missed 1 because he's late birthday, and both those guys are on the draft list this year, right? So I think that's super important. And again, it doesn't have to, like, there's no rush. There's no rush to where you need to be. From like a typical week perspective, Ryan, I think is what you're asking too. I mean, how we balance it. At the end of the day, we have a lot of high school students, so they still have to go to school. So in Flint, you go to a brick and mortar school twice a week, Tuesday, Thursdays. So in everything we do with our full team. So we'll have a daily report every day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the kids aren't in school. Our guys will report maybe around 9 o'clock. They'll come in, we'll do a team lift. If it's early in the week, later in the week, maybe it's just a stretch. We'll do some video, and then we'll practice. And on Tuesday, Thursday, again, the kids are in school from 8 a.m. till 12. So if the guys that aren't in school, they might come in and do some skills in the morning. But at 12:30, everyone will come back. And again, we'll start our day, right? As a group, as a team, we'll do our lift. If it's early in the week, we'll do our video. Then we'll do our practice. And then after practice, like Brandon talked about, a lot of individual work for players, either if it's on the ice or in the video or in video, right? So that's pretty much how the week's structured. We play on weekends, right? In the OHL, you're mandatory 4 days off a week. So I mean, it's a job, guys. Like you're there, you're at the rink pretty much every day, and it's where else would you rather be, right? So that good.
Kyle, maybe you could talk just a little bit about how the recruiting process works, typical age, timeline, and what does Saginaw look for in players?
Yeah, so the recruiting process is changing. Like it used to be, and it still is, mainly from the draft, right? You get taken in a minor midget draft, and that's where the bulk of the players come from. So you guys are watched over your entire draft year and get selected. And then from there, with the way that the rosters are so fluid nowadays, you're not going to, you used to get a player at 16 and you know that you'd have him until he's 20. With the way that everything's shaping out, the rosters change fluidly. Like throughout the year, they change in the off season. So we get players from all over the place. Like we're an American-based team. There's a lot of leagues out there, Canadian-based teams. Whether you're drafted or not, there's people always watching. We have an extensive scouting staff. They do a great job. They pound the pavement. They're at every rink all the time. So like it never really changes. Sarnia had a 20-year-old free agent player this year. It was a good player for them. So the dream never really dies if you want to play in the OHL. Especially now, there's holes to be filled, there's roster spots that are open. So if you're having a good year and you're sticking to where you are, I know at your age you can always get looking towards what's next and you forget where you are in the moment, right? So if you do your job, you're present every day in your video sessions with your team, and you bring it to the game, you have a good year, there's always the opportunity to be found, whether you're drafted or not, to be able to play in the Ontario League if that's something you're interested in. And then what we look for in a player, we're a very offensive team. We've had that kind of structure and style for a few years now, some highly offensive players with obviously Perek, Michael Misa, guys like that. We look for players who can contribute at both ends of the rink, like with an offensive focus. So look for your brain, how you're moving off the puck, how you can separate yourself and create space for yourself. Can you create your own shot? Do you need somebody to do it for you? Like we're always looking for players with high IQ, high motor, and that compete that everyone talks about. Like that's something you talk about development. Passing, shooting, scoring, all that stuff, you can develop your compete as well. Everything you do, you want to win. You want to make sure that you're doing it to the best of your ability, whether you're in the gym by yourself, with a teammate, push each other. But like that's something that is a huge deal that everybody looks for. So especially in a showcase like this, like you want to make sure that you're competing for every single shift. There's not one that you take off. That's probably the key to it.
Reagan, can you discuss just how the NCAA rule change has impacted the OHL and how do you see it, changing the landscape of the league?
Yeah, I was actually sitting at the table there with a couple of the guys, and I was telling a story when Matt Nicholson there from Bowling Green last year, we were in Erie. He comes in, and he was meeting one of our guys, and I walked into the media room before the game, and usually we're sitting there. You've seen Colorado Jackets, you see Toronto Jackets, you see all the NHL, and all of a sudden there's probably 10 or 15 Division I schools, and that's kind of when it hit us that, this is the new landscape. And, I think that events like this, really bring the CHL along with the NCAA together. I think that I'm going to sit here and say I might be on an island by myself, but I look at it that it's a pathway for you young guys to continue playing hockey. I think that a lot of guys at 19, 20 get lost with the fact that what's that next phase look like for me? Whether it was U Sport, maybe trying to go to the coast for a year and see what that looks like, and maybe get to the American League or the NHL. Obviously, every path's different. But just being having another opportunity for you guys. There's guys that blossom early. There's guys that are blossoming a little bit later. The relationships that we built. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone sitting up here. A lot of our time now is spent talking to the schools, building that relationship, building that trust. I think that for a player in On Sound, I can use Matt as an example. We've got one of our forwards. He's doing daily check-ins, weekly check-ins, just, seeing how his progression is throughout the season. And, I think that the more that we became, kind of open-minded to that change, to really help, the player at the end of the day. We can't sit here and say that, you need to stay in the CHL till you're 20. Obviously not the case. Everybody's different. There's, guys that have had success stories. Porter Martone is a good one that, came into our league, kind of tore it apart, took a leap of faith, went to Michigan State, ended up doing very well, signed in his entry level, played games in the playoffs for Philly, and now is representing Team Canada. There's some stories like that. There's other guys that have gone in and, different paths from that standpoint. But I think for us, it's, trying to be open-minded. We kind of hear some stories from some teams that maybe not are as open-minded, just because at the end of the day, we feel like there are guys, they deserve to be with us for, 4 or 5 years. But, I think us in Owen Sound, I think that some of these guys can speak on behalf. Yeah, it sucks. We're going to lose a guy maybe at, 18 or 19. But at the same time, we're going to look down, 3, 4, 5 years after that, and they're going to be playing in the National Hockey League or pro hockey. So, we're only a little short portion now. I think it's changed the landscape of our league. I think, it might become a little bit younger, just with the reality behind it. But at the end of the day, I feel that, we're a development league first. Obviously, it's about wins and losses, but at the same time, you've got to develop your players. You can't win, there's no byproduct of winning if you can't develop. And, you see it year after year, there's always those teams that should be, the pinnacle of junior hockey, and sometimes there's an injury that they fall short on. But it's one of those things that, you look at and go, okay, you know what, we're going to set this player up for success for the next 3 to 4 years, depending on, where they go off to school and get that opportunity. So as far as where it's going to go, I still think the jury's out. I think the NCAA guys can say that as well. I don't know what this is going to look like over the next couple of years. I feel it's 2 to 3 years to really kind of fizzle itself out with all the kind of gray areas, the silver linings trying to be met as to, okay, this is, kind of the new norm. So you guys are kind of hitting it, I guess, right at the right time. But, like all these guys have said, it comes down to opportunity. And, as coaches, we're taking the opportunity to build relationships. And, this is why we choose to be here at an event like this, to build these relationships, to ultimately go back to our teams and help our players.
Scott, can you discuss the team makeup in Guelph, kind of the ages, that run through the roster, the leagues that you maybe picking up free agents out of when you are recruiting, and then, what role should parents play in the whole process with you guys?
For sure. So obviously our league is a 16 to 20-year-old league. There's an entry draft at 16, and there's also a U18 draft, kind of that second year of midget. So there's lots of opportunity and lots of different pathways that you can enter the league into. And now again, with the rule changes, we've talked about this a lot, there's been players coming at 19. There's been players coming in their last year because now they can play in the OHL and then go on to play NCAA after. So we're seeing a lot of change that way. There's still the traditional pathway of kind of that 16-year-old draft, maybe not necessarily making the OHL that first year, but getting some junior experience or playing U18 or other options in different leagues, junior B, junior C. There's lots of levels. So I think everyone said it, we're looking under every rock. There's no hiding anymore. Back when I played minor hockey, guys would slip through the cracks a little bit more. Like the scouts were not at every single event or every single game. Now we find that there's somebody always watching, which is both a good thing for you guys and obviously something that can be a little bit daunting too. So we're aware of that. But again, in the end of the day, it's about being seen. It's about putting your best foot forward every day. Just like an event like this, you want to go out there, from the start, like Ryan said, and just kind of show what you are as a player, what you can be as a player. So that's kind of the first thing we look for in recruiting. And as I said, it's happening at all ages now, starting quite young. For our team makeup in Guelph, we are excited to be hosting the Mem Cup this year. So, we're trying to get a little bit older. We also don't know what that looks like these days. If junior hockey is going to be, an 18-year-old league, a 19-year-old league, or a 20-year-old league now with these rule changes, we're just not sure. But obviously, very exciting to be a part of something like that. So we've been building for my 2 years in Guelph with the Storm. We've been building for this coming season. There's a little bit of that cycle to junior hockey. Again, this may shift a little with the rules, but we're in that cycle. We're in that peak and exciting time of our cycle, hopefully going into next season, hitting the ground running with a very, very strong team to start the season. And then again, we can make trades in our league, so we will be looking to add certain pieces throughout the year, all with the ultimate goal of hosting that Memorial Cup and winning that Memorial Cup.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you touch on the parents, just like the parents in the
for sure.
process?
Parents are, as we see here, they're critical. That doesn't change. I could speak on my own experience. My parents would follow me everywhere. They would be over in England watching me play. They'd be making sure to make some trips out of that. They wouldn't see me. They would just go to other places in Europe and just enjoy their trips, which is fine. Use me as a vessel, which is good. But it's critical. Our GM does a lot of the conversations with the parents, making sure that they're in the loop on every decision that's kind of made about their kid, which is critical for us. It's still a young age. You're still not an adult yet, so it's important that the parents are very much involved. We have orientation camps where the parents get to come and ask questions, and there's a lot of good information available, and events like this also help with that too. So we find that parents are at every game. There's a parent here of one of the players that I got to coach in the last couple of years, which is always fun to talk and reminisce on those good times and the bad times and the hard times. But I think hockey's such a family sport. The parents are critical at all times.
Sean, I would love to hear just from your experience. You've been a scout for a long time, and just can you talk about a few things that each of these players should focus on in their development journey, and then from a scouting perspective, what are things that allow players to play at the next level and move on?
So development is a broad word. There's so many different things that are important for your development. So I'll just kind of talk about two things, and that's that you're playing a regular shift and and you have quality coaching. So if you're talking to teams right now where you could play at a higher level but less ice time, drop down and play a lower level and play a regular shift with special teams. It's very, very, very important. And to get quality coaching where you're getting feedback on a regular basis. Those are two things in Kitchener that we focused on all the time after they were drafted is playing time, so finding a good team to play for, and having quality coaching. It's very, very, very important. So, but development can go so many different directions. In terms of what scouts look for, again, lots of different variables. We could be here for an hour talking about it, but there's so many different things. With hockey IQ is very, very, very important. We mentioned up here too as well, your compete level on a regular basis is massive. The pace of the game is so fast from the NHL to D1 to OHL that skating is very, very, very important. One thing too for you guys is that it's important you guys have a role and an identity right now. So whatever you do, try to do it the best of your ability. So if you're a shutdown defenseman, do that. If you score goals, do it. If you stop pucks, goalies, just stop the puck. So it's time for you guys to start having a role and understanding what your role is, and then focusing on doing that as a role to get better, because these coaches need players that can help their team win. And so understanding that's very, very important.
When I was growing up, they looked for size. But it didn't always matter, right? All right, so I want to open it up to the crowd. You have these guys here. Let's use this opportunity. We have some girls with the microphones that can pass them around. And does anybody have any questions for these guys? We got one in the back here. Hold on. Bring the microphone. You can just shout it out. We'll relay it. Go ahead. So the question was about there's a new rule potentially being up to be passed, which is about having a 5-year timeline to play NCAA hockey after the time you graduate high school. Does any of you guys want to take that one?
I guess. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I think that Maddie and I had a conversation about this a couple weeks ago. It's one of those things that, as our league, we're trying to definitely navigate for sure. We're sitting here waiting on the NCAA. I think that with that poll, I think our league becomes younger. I think that, from our standpoint, I know that at the Combine, I was chatting with one of the directors from the OHL. He actually talked about, 16-year-old cards, becoming a little bit more important to allow more kids at 16 to be in a role where they have the opportunity to play. I think, these guys touched on just having that opportunity. There's Scott talked about the cycle. Usually, you look at Kitchener, I'm going to use them for an example right now. Obviously just won our league. They've got a lot of guys that are NHL drafted, NHL signed, some older guys. That team next year could be very young. So they might be able to use all of those 16-year-old cards to really give, more opportunities. Maybe I'll throw out, Sarnia, if they're trying to be in a spot where, they're going a little bit older, they've built around, some of the guys that are hopefully to be returning. I think it levels the playing field in terms of all teams being equal in the sense that they have the opportunity they feel that, there's kids being drafted. And then, from a standpoint at 18, if they're either graduate high school at 18 and or turn 19, that clock starts. And I think it's important for them also. We talk with our guys in Owen Sound about, it's at some point, you've got to make an educated decision. Our guys are fortunate playing in the CHL to have schooling packages. I know the NCAA colleges are, working with us to get those packages to make sure that, they can really, relay what they have available to each player depending on when they're drafted and so forth and so on. So from a standpoint, I think that it's going to, kind of play itself out. I think that our league definitely is going to shift. It's going to become younger, but it's going to give opportunities at, a first glance to be showcased, to be seen, to be playing at the highest level possible, which is the CHL, in hopes to play Division I hockey, to continue to have, the opportunity to play at the highest level while getting a great education, and then, going on to play after that. And I think that, we've had guys, I know I can probably chat amongst everybody, before everybody seemed like they wanted to go and try the East Coast League before going to play U Sport. Now it's, let's go play NCAA, get a degree, maybe they go in at 18, by the time they're 22, a lot of guys still have a lot of hockey left ahead of them, right? And there's so many different leagues, there's so many different opportunities. Scott's a perfect example, went over, Braden as well, played over in Europe, and you can play till you're 30, 35, 40, whenever you want to, call it a career and fall back to your education. So I think it's going to be, a bit of a change in terms of getting a little bit younger, but I think it's for the better.
So my name is Robert Janssens from Biostal U18. Coming from international stage and being a European, how would the development path or coming into the league, since I know a lot of Europeans are here, maybe like 15 or something, what is the things that we need to focus on or the steps that we need to take to get noticed by your leagues or get into those type of leagues?
Yeah, I'll start a little bit, and maybe someone else can take over. But as a European, we have an import draft, right? So you'll have to be drafted as an import, and that, again, no matter if you're not from North America, then you'll be in that draft, regardless if you're playing in North America or not, right? So that's your first step, right? Would be to do that, and again, our scouts are everywhere, and they again, there's 3 rounds of import drafts. There used to only be 2, so now there's 3. So there is a lot more opportunity, and some guys come early and play junior hockey outside the CHL before, but other guys come right from Europe and come over, right? So that draft takes place. I don't know exactly. Someone may know the answer, but 1 or 2 weeks after the normal draft now, right, in July. So that's the way to get over here. Anyone else got something to add?
No, that's good. Is there any free agent for your international players, or is it only through the draft?
As far as I know, it has to be through the draft.
Okay.
They have to live here for 2 years, I believe, and then they can be eligible for the OHL draft.
Regular draft.
Great. Thank you.
So you guys were kind of mentioning when you were talking before about how you think the league might get a little bit younger based on how things are changing. Do you see, with the players that you have coming in, an opportunity to take players that are maybe older, but maybe they've been in junior B, or maybe they've been holding out going to the OHL because of the rule change or whatever? Do you see maybe out of US prep or places like that where kids are naturally a little bit older, guys coming in and taking spots? Do you see the numbers increasing maybe to those older players that weren't a part of the draft class or something along those lines?
Yeah, I would say that in that scenario, now that there's players that were probably committed to schools from prep schools and they would have previously stayed in the United States, played in the USHL or North American League, now that's a whole new pool of players that can be CHL players, right? They can play in the Ontario League, whether it's a year or 2. Previously, we would have never gotten them. They would have never crossed paths. They would have stayed over there and then went to school. So there are going to be gaps now where when we're looking for players, they are older. They might have stayed in prep school, played a year of junior or 2, and then they can still keep their eligibility before going to school, rather than just waiting till you're 20 and going. Now it's completely fluid, and you can find players that are older in all different places, and they can come play in the league at any time.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that too. So, again, I'm not sure the league is going to get much younger, to be honest with you. So again, this is a good lesson for you young guys. It may be more difficult to get into the league when you're young at this point. Like us, in Flint and in Ottawa would be 2 good examples of this season where both of us brought a lot of our guys were a lot of draft picks that were playing outside of the CHL because they were waiting to go to school, that we brought back to our team, and Ottawa did the same, or brought a lot of free agents in, right? So I wouldn't be too frustrated or concerned if it takes you a little longer to get to the OHL right now, where the OHL this year seemed to be more of like an 18, 19-year-old league, right? So everyone says it's going to get younger. I mean, again, no one's got a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. But until it all sorts itself out, like this year would be kind of proof that it's probably not younger. It's more of those middle ages, right? So super interesting. Great question, Eric. And again, I think I want to make sure you guys know that there's opportunities. Like we just signed a kid from the USHL this week, right? Brantford signed 2 kids from the USHL. So those 18, 19-year-olds, those prep school kids, like, again, if you're going to make our team better, then that's what we're going to do. And you young guys, the 2010s and 2009s, it may take you a year or 2 to get to our league, right? So again, no one knows what's going to happen. It's pretty fluid, and it's changing at all times.
Yeah, so the question is, what advice would you give to the undrafted, guys in this room?
I'll step in for that one. I think that it's hard for the undrafted guys to come in and be a top 6 forward or top, on the first line, or a top 2 defenseman. So they have to kind of go back to my earlier point about having a role and doing it to the best of your abilities. It might be starting at the bottom on the fourth line and moving your way up. But the free agents have to kind of do a lot of extra work, and the compete level is definitely very, very high to get that opportunity to even go to camp or to even make a team, in my opinion. Anyways, guys.
Hey, are there any gaps that you're seeing in young players coming up now that may not have existed in the past that these guys can kind of focus on?
I think we are now oversaturated in skill development. Like, it's a great part of the game, but if you watch, every single player now can skate, stick handle, pass, shoot. Like, it's very prevalent. I think the gaps are, like, we don't watch enough as young guys. We don't watch enough in the margins of the game, not just the highlights, not just the stuff that you can digest on TikTok and things. Like, you got to be able to watch a game, look for your position, see how it's being played, see how people check, see how people move off puck. That's a big gap that you see. Everybody is a hockey school player now to a lesser extent, right? And finding that IQ and knowing that you can play the game at the next level, it's a big jump. Like, we're not telling you it's going to be easy. It's a huge jump between the OHL, major, junior, NCAA, and then it's another even bigger jump to pro. So you got to set yourself apart, and the way that you can do that is learn about the game, learn about every facet of the game, your position, other positions. Somebody gets hurt and they need you to play center and you've never been a center, you got to have a general understanding of what that looks like. So I'd say the gap from your generation is to be able to look at the game from a micro lens and dial in on your position and some details that you don't see on SportsCenter.
Just coming off my U16 year, I was just curious on like what stands out in players' games, like what do you watch that stands out in our age?
Sounds like a scout question. Say that again. What do we look for?
Like, what stands out in like the better players compared to the less like watched players?
The more watched players. Yeah, I think you're kind of talking about teams that don't get as much exposure. We look at every single team, guys, whether you're 0-50 or 50-0. We look at all the players. When I was scouting this year in the GTHL, for example, I knew there was a bunch of teams, 5 or 6, that weren't going to make the playoffs. So I'm in February, pretty early. So we watched those teams in January and February. So when they lost, we were able to see those players. So there's no gaps in our lists. So yeah, does that answer your question? Any coaching questions for these guys?
Yeah, thank you. That was great. Okay, great. Well, thank you, guys. Give these big coaches a big round of applause, please. That's great. So tomorrow morning, we're 7:45. We'll be in this room. We'll have the same type of panel with the college coaches to give you guys a little more perspective on that side of hockey. We have a hyper ice recovery room. It's just down the hallway here. It's the Mercury room. Everything that is in that room needs to stay in that room. So this is probably the most heavily security and camera place probably around. So don't take anything out of that room. If you use something, put it back the way as it was when you found it. It should look like it is right now. Very neat, for the next guy to come in. If any of those hyper ice tools end up needing a charge, just throw it on the charger when you're done if it's getting low. But other than that, we're excited for tomorrow. It's where the fun begins, getting you guys here, getting some more information, but then we get to the ice. So thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow.